to 1111 at the Grotto. I'm Adam, and on behalf of all of us here, we're so thankful that you've decided to join us. Whether this is maybe your first time or you're coming back again, 1111 is a chance for us to demystify and unpack what church can look like. We start together singing a song of praise from the book of Psalms, which are poetry and songs written in gratitude to God, asking Him for the things that we need. And then we focus in on the gospel, which is the good news and the story of Jesus. From wheels up to wheels down, this never takes more than like 10, 15 minutes. So let's get started. I can safely say that the one phrase that I have said the most since I became a father is, "Are you listening to me?" I think maybe every day when I ask my kids to do something, simple tasks, it seems like they're just not paying attention. And they'll come back to me and say, "What did you ask me to do?" Or I'll ask them about the thing that I asked them to do, and they'll claim that they forgot or that I didn't say it. And I'm constantly getting frustrated and asking, "Are you listening to me?" I think this is something that we all struggle with from time to time. What exactly are we paying attention to? What exactly are we letting influence us? And in this week's gospel, Jesus is asking a very similar question. In the Gospel of Luke, it says this: Jesus said to the Pharisees, "There was a rich man who dressed in purple garments and fine linen and dined sumptuously every day. And lying at his door was a poor man named Lazarus, covered with sores, who would have gladly eaten his fill of the scraps that fell from the rich man's table. Dogs even used to come and lick his sores. When the poor man died, he was carried away by angels to the bosom of Abraham. The rich man also died and was buried. And from the netherworld, where he was in torment, he raised his eyes and saw Abraham far off and Lazarus at his side. And he cried out, 'Father Abraham, have pity on me. Send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am suffering torment in these flames.' Abraham replied, 'My child, remember that you received what was good during your lifetime, while Lazarus likewise received what was bad. But now he is comforted here, whereas you are tormented. Moreover, between us and you a great chasm is established to prevent anyone from crossing who might wish to go from our side to yours, or from your side to ours.' He said, 'Then I beg you, Father, send him to my father's house, for I have 5 brothers, so that he may warn them, lest they too come to this place of torment.' But Abraham replied, 'They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them.' He said, 'Oh no, Father Abraham, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent.' Then Abraham said, 'If they will not listen to Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded if someone should rise from the dead.'" Now, obviously, this teaching from Jesus continues this dialogue that he's having with people around caring for those who are in need of care, especially the poor and the marginalized. But I think that this also has a deeper lesson for us in who is it that exactly we are letting influence us. See, this rich man saw Lazarus every day, it says. It says that he literally stepped over him, that this poor man was in such dire straits that he begged every day, and that he was so covered in sores and sick that the dogs would even come and lick his wounds. And it has to take a lot for somebody to stay still while a dog comes over and licks your wounds. You got to think that Lazarus was in bad shape. But this rich man and everybody who surrounded him, who lived this lavish lifestyle, paid no attention to Lazarus. And when Lazarus and the man both died, they both go different places. And I think that sometimes we use this as an allegory or a metaphor or an example of, if you don't do good things, you're going to go to hell. And I don't think that that's what Jesus is trying to say here. See, what Jesus is actually showing us is the importance of when Jesus talks about the first shall be last and the last shall be first. We heard that a couple weeks ago. Because in this story, in this teaching from Jesus, Lazarus has a name. The rich man does not. When God looks at us, he sees the true richness of our heart, not our actions or our good deeds or all of the good stuff that we manage to do while we're here on the earth, or not all of our success or our accolades or our claims to fame. What he sees is our hearts. Jesus here is trying to ask us, what exactly are we letting influence us? This is especially prescient for us today because we live in what we like to call, what a lot of people call influencer culture, right? So many people, especially in our day of technology and social media, we have such tremendous reach that people can be called influencers. They have the ability to influence what people think and how they even act, maybe the things that they buy or the things that they say and do and even believe. Jesus is asking us, in hearing this teaching, who are you listening to? He even says, if they're not going to listen to Moses, if they're not going to listen to the prophets, what he's saying here is, for thousands of years, God has sent so many people to tell us exactly who he is and what he desires for us, and yet we refuse to listen. So he says, if you're not going to listen to all these people in your life who are trying to influence you to know God and to love our neighbor, what is it even going to matter if somebody comes back from the dead? And of course he's talking about himself. What he's really doing is he's telling the listeners, and he's specifically speaking to the Pharisees, the religious authority of the day, you have had so long to listen to exactly what God has been trying to tell you, and you have ignored him. At the beginning of the story, remember, it talks about the lavishness of the wealth of the man, when it talks about he wore purple clothes and linen. Purple was a color of wealth and prestige and influence and oftentimes royalty, because the dye to make purple clothing was expensive in Jesus' time. And the working class, those who struggled, didn't wear linen. Linen was a fine fabric. This man lived well and had the means to always live well, and everybody around him was living well, and his family was living well. When Jesus is saying this, he's speaking directly to the Pharisees who are not willing to listen to God. And what God is saying to us is, who are we stepping over every day in our lives? Who aren't we seeing every day? Is it somebody in our neighborhood? Is it somebody in our workplace, at our school? Is it somebody across the dining room table? Who aren't we seeing when God is asking us, begging with us, pleading with us to show love and grace? The challenge for us this week is to really take stock of who it is that we're listening to. Who are we letting influence us in our deepest self, in our hearts? And are we willing to listen to the one who loves us most deeply? Hey, thanks again for joining us for 1111 at the Grotto. If you have any questions about the Grotto, 1111, or anything else, visit us online and connect with us at thegrotto.community.